Danny, if I can just get your final reflections on the defeat against Watford then. Now the dust has settled, what did you make of it overall?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, it's always disappointing to lose a game, whether you're the underdogs or not. I think the overriding feeling of everyone connected to the football club was pride with the travelling supporters, first and foremost. And it works both ways. I think they were excellent, and they also hopefully saw a team that was working their socks off for the cause, playing their normal game, and going all out to try and beat a championship football team. We were very close to doing that. We watched the game back. I think the last 10 minutes we just visibly got a little bit tired, and they got a little bit on top, saying that, you know, we had a good chance to win it. And they were a little bit more clinical towards the end of the game. And I think you sense from myself and everyone's reactions after it's definitely not a lack of importance in the result, but maybe less of a priority, so it probably doesn't hurt as much, especially when you know you've played well and you don't feel like anyone's let anyone down. So great day for the supporters, they were fantastic. Hopefully we gave them something to be proud about, but hopefully we can give them something even more to be proud about tomorrow night by potentially going 9 points clear.
You were still going for it right in that sort of 5 or 6 minutes of injury time. Is there any regret there at maybe not sitting back and trying to just get that replay, or is it that not really just in your makeup at the minute?
Yeah, I think when you say it's a free hit, it doesn't mean that you necessarily throw your normal principles out the window, but it is like a one-off, isn't it? And I think with a club like Chesterfield, where our priority is to get promotion, hopefully automatically, then obviously the FA Cup is a bonus game, and I think, you know, the manager's way of playing is very exciting, very entertaining to watch. With that sometimes comes counter-attacks against us through playing those better teams. Now, if we suddenly sit and defend our lead or defend the 1-1, eventually they're gonna get a shot off on goal because they're good players. So you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. I think if we'd won the game 2-1 with that chance near the end, everyone would say it's the right way to go. But I think our league position, our FA Cup run, I don't think we can have too many criticisms of our style of play this year thus far.
No, absolutely not. So on to tomorrow night then. You must go into that game full of belief after the way that you went toe-to-toe with Watford for 90 odd minutes.
Yeah, and I think if you go back before that, Lee, in the Solihull game here, I thought it was vital that we won, not for, obviously apart from the obvious reasons of getting the 3 points, but to then enable everyone connected with the club to go to Watford and enjoy the day, knowing that you've had that pressure release, that you got 3 points the game previous. So yeah, you're right, it's great to go bounce from that Watford game, but I think it's even better to bounce from the Solihull, the last league fixture, into tomorrow night, playing against a good team. Obviously they've lost a few lads for injury and loan recalls, but they're still a good team. They play a unique style of football and they're going to be a very big threat.
Everyone's been talking about the games in hand for a while, and now they're coming up. How important is it that you do take advantage of them?
Well, yeah, it's important that we continue to try to maintain our winning mentality, which I know we will try and maintain it. Whether it happens or not is another story, but we're going out there to win every game. With 3 games in hand, you could say, well, you draw all 3 and you're 9 points clear. It's still a great return. We don't want to go out and draw games, obviously, but we've got ourselves into a good position where it is in our own hands going forward. But it's not going forward within a couple of games. We've got a lot of games left. So yeah, it's within our hands, our own hands. Sorry, for the here and now. The games in hand are great. At the same time, there's a lot of Saturday, Tuesdays coming up. Obviously, got the FA Trophy Saturday, where I think we might, we've got high hopes for a lot of our academy prospects. So I think it'd be a good chance to have a look at, see how they can cope against National South opposition, because we've got a lot of lads in our academy who are on loan at Northern Premier teams and below, and we as staff feel that they're better than that level to go and test themselves. So it'd be interesting to see if they are chosen to go and play down at Welling, what they would do up against it. But we're taking that game as serious as any. But for the here and now, Gateshead is massive.
Is it going to be difficult to analyse how Gateshead might set up, given that they've lost so many players? Do you think that might change their approach?
No, I'm going to hazard a guess and say no. I'm not inside their camp, obviously, but I'm going to hazard a guess no. I think the manager obviously was involved with the previous manager, so I think he'd be silly to move away from their successful philosophy thus far, and he's done okay, since he's taken over. So they play a really good brand. Yes, they've lost a couple of good players, and and the players who come in to be very good as well. So I think we went to Southend, didn't we? And there was a lot of questions about sympathy and blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, they won the game that day, Southend, rightly so. And we've got to make sure that we send Gateshead packing tomorrow. But if anyone thinks they're not going to be a good team who are capable of beating anyone this league, they're very much mistaken.
Do you think it's a good time to play a team when they've had this sort of big changes, or do you go into it because you don't quite know what you're probably going to get? Do you think it's a good time to play them or not?
Time will tell, won't it? I think it's very silly to make predictions of what's good or bad. We played a lot of teams at full strength this year and won, and a lot of teams that haven't been at their so-called full strength and won. So hopefully, with only a couple of defeats this year, we can maintain that great season we're having so far. So no, I don't know. I think obviously you got Marcus up front, who was here and wasn't even for long, but he's a good player, going to be a threat. Because they play a real confident brand of football, and they look to open you up and keep the ball more than we do. And I'm sure they'll have spells where they do keep the ball more than we do. But like I've also said many a time this year, if we turn up, if we're at it, if we maintain our standards and confidence and belief in what we're doing, we'll have a good night. And if we don't, it'll be a real tough game against a very good team.
And we're just over the halfway point now. Do you anticipate any players coming in to sort of bolster the squad going into that second half of the season?
I think we'd hope not to, which means that everyone's fit and free from suspension. Obviously, it's Grimes' last game. We've got the options of both Baileys coming back with the recall. And so you're looking really at the moment. I mean, Frex has come in on loan and done really good. So you don't rule out the loan option at all at some point. But I think if we don't have to use it, great, because I think the gaffer said this morning he'd love these set of players to be the ones that get carried around the town at the end of the season. They would deserve that if it was to come to that. But it's a long way to go. Certainly wouldn't rule out bringing anyone, but hopefully we won't have to.
Yes. So is it more of a case of you will if injuries or suspensions, but you're not sort of desperate to bring someone in, or you don't feel like you need to right at this moment? Yeah,
and I wouldn't say it's even just injuries and suspensions, Liam. I'd say if we started playing really bad, you might have to make a few changes, and we can't just presume that because we're having a good season and playing well most weeks that continues, because life don't work like that. So yeah, I would say the main two reasons for doing it would be suspensions or injuries, followed by a third that no one wants to talk about, would be a lack of form. So hopefully the form continues and these lads continue to give their all for this club, because they're a cracking set of players, and so far their performances have merited every result they've got.
And given the season that you're having, there's bound to be people watching your players as well. Do you fear that anyone could be tempted away at this point?
I think I'm going to put a positive spin on it, and it means you're doing well, doesn't it? If rumours about your players and people watching, then you're laughing really, because it means you're doing the right things. And then if and when teams were to approach us about certain players, then you'd like to think the players would want to be part of something that's hopefully going in the right direction. But I can't speak for players at the moment. As far as I'm aware, everyone's off the same page. No one's going anywhere, and they all want to be part of that squad tomorrow. There might be a couple of changes from the game at Watford. That's been the norm, isn't it, the last few months, knowing that everyone who steps in is more than capable to replace the person who's been left out. The only thing I think difference tomorrow is we won't have like 3 or 4 in the stand due to the lads who've gone out on loan, etc. And Grimes has got his last ban. But hopefully as the season progresses, we can have more and more players to choose from, just through fitness and lack of suspensions. Yeah,
and just finally on that then, in terms of team news, do you did everyone come through the Watford game okay?
Yeah, everyone seems to be okay. There's a few people which had an easy one yesterday with Ben the physio, and today just taking it easy, which I'm not going to name. But yeah, there's a couple that we'll have to assess, but on the whole, everyone's good to go.